quarterback.
Oh, there's a goal. It bounces.
Oh, at least I thought he was gonna until he blew it.
The NHL trade deadline. More spread out than ever before. Try to make the actual deadline a big thing, but most deals were already done by that point. So we sit around and wait. And wait. Until we finally get a big moment or two. Now that dust is settled, the pieces have shuffled, playoffs are in sight. 32 teams, 32 separate goals. Only way to go about it? Rapid fire. Let's get it. More selling, more losing, more life in the perpetual rebuild. Now with an extra first-round pick to play with from Edmonton. Trevor Zegras, despite rumors, did not get traded. Jacob Perreault and a few veterans, however, did. Welcome Jan Mysak to your minor league system. I don't care if he hasn't panned out yet, the name's still glorious. Remember when I had praise for the Coyotes a month ago? About that. They collapsed like a house of cards in the desert yet again. 14 straight losses dooming them to purgatory and hoping land at auction is sold to them. Speaking of selling, there are more mid to late round picks coming for whatever they could sell. Just look at that draft pick haul they have. If they pick up any more, they might be on hoarders. To attempt to undo the past, the only option is to load. It's just not an all-in push like last year. A longer-term move to take in Andrew Peeke, but with his defensive analytics, maybe something? But the best move they made was probably the one they didn't make. Linus Ullmark nearly went to the Kings in an attempt to get center depth. But Ullmark saved the day by nixing the deal. They end up winning the cup, this non-move might be why. By the way, Boston, meet Patrick Maroon. He's your new Milan Lucic. Jack Edwards is speechless. Disappointing season deserves some somber farewells, don't they? Kalak Poso, the fan favorite and captain, is off to the team of his choice in Florida. It's not for much and he deserved a better fate here. Too much bad luck for him in Buffalo. Perhaps Bowen Byram will have better fortunes? It did cost them Casey Middlestat in an effort to alleviate a future logjam, but if Byram pans out, oh baby, continue the purge. Even on the fringes of playoffs, there's little to think the Flames will do much of anything. Best to get something for the pieces that will be on the way out. First Kane Lindholm, then Chris Tanev, and Hanifin after him. All gone. A bevy of defensive prospects and draft picks coming in return, but when you punt the year away, it's better to get something than nothing. Could they still make the playoffs? Yeah, but would it really be for the best for this franchise? Reinforcements are coming. After years of holding pattern minimal movement, the time has come to break through the glass ceiling. All in. The chance is at hand. Behold your bounty. Jake and Bake. Purchased at the rental store for a bulk price. Now for the Evgeny Kuznetsov question. Can he revive or is he just washed? Only cost a third-round pick if he is done, no biggie. How about the real biggie, though? Freddie's back in net. Potential salvation indeed. Go forth and strike. This might be the best chance you have. Everything may be destroyed, but we finally have some good news on their front for once. Chicago ended their 22-game road losing streak. No big trades either. Nothing to move besides Beauvillier. Move along. Answers needed throughout the lineup, mostly thanks to injury. Shakeups to get them past the dreaded enemies of Vegas and beyond. Bowen Byram has talent, but he's failed to thrive in Denver thanks to injuries and inconsistency. So why not give him a second chance in Buffalo for a second-line center? Casey Middlestat is the man to get. Same as Sean Walker for the defense and Yakov Trenin and Brendan Duhaime for the bottom six. Ryan Johansson, sorry sir, you're off to Philly and a cap dump with a first-round pick. But there's still the off chance that the captain might be coming back. No goaltending help you fear? In Justus Annunen they trust. Continue the sell-off. Ish. Andrew Peeke, Emil Bemstrom, and Jack Roslovic, you're moving on to new destinations. Some contenders, and Pittsburgh. Elvis wanted a trade, but he's still cursed in existence by being here. Columbus will take their last chance ticket on Alex Nylander and enjoy an early hat-trick into his tenure. Only if the team can enjoy other things in their existence. When a team is as loaded as the Stars are on paper, they don't have to do all that much at the deadline. However, the desire to add quality parts never ceases to stop aching. The only solution to it is in Calgary. A quality defenseman that can eat big minutes, a proven playoff warrior. His name is Chris Tanev. He didn't cost an exorbitant amount either. Nothing else to report on the trade front, although I wish that could be the same elsewhere. Tyler Seguin's out week to week. May he please return to the lineup eventually. Life without Dylan Larkin is hard. It's not a fun existence, and the Red Wings can definitely tell. They're a different team. A worse one. Things may be a mess right now, and they created their own calamity with the defensive logjam since everyone's healthy. But would anyone like this slightly refurbished Justin Hull? He's got term. Give him away for pretty much nothing. Why won't anyone take him off their hands? Will depth ever be found for the Oilers? They're always trying but keep coming up empty. Just like Connor Brown on the scoring sheet. The only way you fail is if you stop trying. A ton of hockey fans forget that Adam Henrique still plays hockey. You're stuck in Anaheim for ages, that tends to happen. He's been recalled from this remote outpost along with Sam Carrick for the playoff push. Troy Stetcher, too. Will this be the year they finally do something? They're hoping to God it is. Things are always hotter in southern Florida, and so are the Panthers. On a pace rivaled by none since January and looking even stronger than their miracle run last season. Concern is team depth on the wings. Know how to answer that? With Vladimir Tarasenko and Kyle Okposo. Both acquired at the wholesale market for cheap. Nothing like a good bargain, particularly for veteran depth. They probably got the extension for Gustav Forsling at the same damn store. 8 years at that price is good business. I wonder if they could find a Brendan Montour extension there as well. I'll give them points for at least trying. They had a deal in place to solve the goalie question long-term with Linus Ullmark. Only problem was with Ullmark himself. There was no plan B in place. Nothing cooking on the hot stove. Like the Angels in a playoff push struck the hell out. It's a blow, but LA will have to fight with what they have. Playoffs are likely, but do you trust them? They have a hell of a lot of talent, but something just doesn't feel right. Like St. Louis and a few others, the Wild are in a no-man's land. They aren't true contenders, but they aren't outright terrible. Just really inconsistent. The only moves of note they made were trades of Pat Maroon, Connor DeWar, and Brendan Duhaime for mid-round picks. Not an outright punt, but it's kinda there. A lot like the Wild this season, if we're being honest. You can only pull the goalie in overtime for so long before reality slaps you across the face. The standard fare for the last few seasons, still on a deep rebuild, trade off whatever they can for draft picks and hope the prospects keep molding into their own. This is what tends to happen, but there are some bright spots. They got a decent return for Jake Allen, plus the previous haul for Monahan. God bless Nick Suzuki's goal streak, and Yuri Slafkovsky's strong February. Looks like a playoff berth is coming more and more into view. There are plenty of teams that outpunch the Preds by a wide margin, but might as well bring in a few pieces to bolster forward depth. Barry Trotz knows Anthony Beauvillier well, so go get him. Jason Zucker's available for dirt cheap, so get him as well. Yakov Trenin's fine, but he's a UFA and his value's high. A third-round pick is worth it there. But for now, it's to keep on swimming. Jose Saros is coming back to form, too. The greatest sight to see. I know goaltending's been the elephant in the room for this team, but New Jersey's gone from overconfident to completely panicking at the wheel. Tom Fitzgerald shit the bed over the past year. So the answer is to trade for Jake Allen and Kaapo Kakkonen? Vitek Vanacek's cooked, so he's off to San Jose in return, but what is their game plan besides hope to God something works? It's a fucking shit show. Lindy Ruff's already been canned, so that gambit's out of the way, but no one could have done anything with the disaster in net. If all else fails, they can be like Ruff and keep blaming the media. Or boast the people pay to watch them fail. Long Island is at a pivotal point. The Isles are finding some mojo before the deadline, and the potential for playoffs is very possible. Someone forgot to set Lou's alarm clock at the deadline. They did nothing. As quiet as a ninja's fart. Talk about not wanting to make lateral moves all you want, but do something for fuck's sake. The opportunity to strike is right there, man. Your team's in a playoff spot right now. Oh, what do I know? They'll probably go on another deep run just to fuck with me. Matthew Rempe's World Boxing Tour. Fighting the heavyweight contenders of the league and cheap-shotting everyone one game at a time. Literally every game he's not suspended. Next year he fights the winner of Paul versus Tyson. A fan favorite like him deserves some help, doesn't he? How about Alex Wenberg to replace Heedle for the push and Chad Ruedel as a defensive body? Kaapo Kakko was thrown out there as a trade chip, but he's still here. Perhaps that's a good thing. The true tests await. Godspeed. It's been yet another disaster of a season, so what's new? Besides Josh Norris being out for the rest of the season, with another shoulder surgery, trading Vladimir Tarasenko to get whatever they can is all they can really do. That and pray. Yes, I'm amazed that the Flyers are still in playoff contention, but it's obvious they're overperforming. It's not the worst outcome in the world if we're being honest. Even for their success, management is wisely staying the course. Making a few moves for the long term, like extending Nick Seeler, but trading Sean Walker to Colorado for Ryan Johansson and a first-round pick. Johansson's contract was eaten for the pick. He was immediately banished to waivers. Scott Lawton requested a trade, but nothing came out of it. And Eric Johnson's here as a stopgap to replace Walker. Honestly, I can't say anything to hurt them, because if they make the playoffs, it's house money. If they don't, whatever, they overachieved. This team is fucking trash. Good lord, they're awful. Guaranteed surrender like them giving up a shorthanded goal. It's the first time for everything. For the first time in almost 20 years, the Penguins are sellers. Most items are locked behind plexiglass, but Jake Gensel's available for the taking. And all that cost Carolina was a bulk return in Kyle Dubas' favorite stuffed animal he calls Bunting. The rest of the hockey world spits on the Penguins' grave. Take care of Jake, Hurricanes. Dude's a gamer in the playoffs. Really, San Jose? You had to really do that? I get trading Anthony Duclair, but Tomas Hertl was a bridge too far. You just had to trade him to Vegas. While retaining salary? Wait a second, the Sharks are giving third-round picks to them for a meager return? They've used all 3 salary retention slots for how long? Oh boy, how's this gonna get worse? And Logan Couture's out now. Great, wonderful, I'm gonna go off and die like a fucking teenager. The Blues have been through a year, and the rumors were swirling about moving pieces, mainly Pavel Buchnevich. Would he or anyone else go to the wayside? The answer would be no. They stood pat. Small window dressing move, but nothing of significance. Fringes of contention are a weird place to be. St. Louis sadly knows this all too well. An apparent upside of first-round exit. What to do if you're Seattle? They're on the fringes. Not good enough to contend, not bad enough to openly sell. They'll find a taker for Alex Wennberg at least. The 2nd and 4th rounder is theirs, which could become a 3rd rounder. If Niels Lundqvist gets 55 points in 2 seasons? Strange, but let's move on. Jordan Eberle's not getting traded. He's staying put for the short term. He's still solid, so it's a good move for the culture. Probably the biggest win Seattle's had all year. It's panic time on the Bay. Things aren't a total mess, but they're far from their peak form. At this point, they reek of first-round exit, especially without Sergachev in tow. All they can do is try to right the ship with Anthony Duclair and Matt Dumba. Dumba isn't anywhere near what he was, but he's still NHL caliber and he came cheap. Duclair came at more of a premium, but they could always catch fire, right? Right, Tampa? They won't become bloat like Tanner Jeannot? Toronto needed defensive help. Their fans were looking for some big names to bolster the back end. Guys like Tanev, Hanifin, maybe Colton Parayko if they were daring. The Leafs have been running with some form as of late. John Tavares has done good work since being shifted down to the 3rd line. It'd be a good idea to add some pieces. Ilya Labushkin, Joel Edmondson, and Connor DeWar? Guess Morgan Riley needs his babysitter. I mean, it could work. It's a change of pace from their usual acquisitions in a previous regime. The Alii will remain intact for the foreseeable future. Elias Lindholm was in discussions to move 3 time zones east of Boston in a 3-way trade, but those plans never came to fruition. However, even if their season is a massive success, an exclamation point has been declared. They won the true prize in Elias Pettersson. He's agreed to stay put in Vancouver for a long time to come. The postseason is a different beast entirely, but this is a victory in and of itself. There's only one problem with their efforts, and it's not the quiet deadline. It's in Thatcher Demko's injury. Knowing fate, this would have somehow been avoided if you had signed Phil Kessel. The Golden Knights are on the precipice of despair. Injuries have knocked a lot of their luster away. They're slipping in the standings. Danger has come. The title defense deserves full effort and another all-in push. Welcome to the fray, new recruits. Anthony Mantha, Noah Hanifin, Tomas Hertl? At that term? Interesting. Cherish Chandler Stevenson and maybe Jonathan Marchessault while you can. You may get an extended look at them at least. May the cries and allegations of cheating continue to live rent-free in the hockey world's hearts. We all know the real story. Mark Stone is so devoted to the cause that he lacerated his own spleen. If he somehow gets back for the playoff run, like a snowstorm in January, the salt will flow. Washington and Pittsburgh are all but tied at the hip. They both rise and fall like the tides of time itself. Unlike their rival, the Capitals must shed more of their old core. Not Anthony Mantha, he wasn't really part of that. I'm speaking more in terms of Evgeny Kuznetsov. The Bird's flight is ended here. He was banished to waivers in Hershey, then shipped off to Carolina for a third-round pick. Shades of Alex Simmons fall from grace. The old core is falling while a new one hopefully rises from the ashes. And even further demise, the playoffs are still within sight. If they make it, Spencer Carberry should be a nominee for Coach of the Year. That and reward Rasmus Sandin with an extension on top of the one he already got. Say what you will about the Jets, but they know how to find quality deadline deals on the cheap. Well, Sean Monahan wasn't exactly cheap, but he's transitioned to the team very well, particularly as a net front presence. Know how to add to the momentum? Want out a dose of Tyler Toffoli? A quality rental like him available for only a second and a third rounder? You can't lose. If we're being honest, this might be the best year for things to happen in Manitoba. Teams clicking in a lot of aspects. To be fair, a lot of teams are. Good luck over the next month. Jockeying for position will be devastating.
This is unbelievable. McCauley is saying, you gotta go.
I'm not.
I'm not. This is unbelievable. He's got over 700 wins, and he says, you're gonna have to carry me off this bench.
Well, it's certainly not unusual for coaches to get involved when their team is just floundering on the ice.
And look at all the guys.
Oh,
they played for Torts back in 04. They know all about this.